Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Broquet and I'm the Environmental Education Coordinator here at the Marine Resources Council located in Palm Bay. And we are at our Lagoon house and I'm here with our lionfish friends. And these are invasive animals that are from the Indo-Pacific region, and they're natural there, but they have become invasive predators in our Caribbean systems and along with the Florida coast, and actually all the way up to New York, which is surprising that they are able to survive in such varying habitats and temperatures. That one right there that you're looking at is known as number 2. Very creative name that we have there. And the smaller one over here is known as Frank. And Frank has grown a lot in the last 6 months. He's almost doubled in size, and he's developed a really great color pattern to his fins and his body. You can see he has those beautiful long fins that he uses to almost like hypnotize his prey. And these guys are very, very aggressive predators, almost like gluttonous predators, and they will eat until their stomachs explode. I've seen these guys even just hold pieces of fish in their mouth, and so I have to be very, very careful with slowly feeding them, making sure that they're not being overfed. But these guys became so invasive because they are aggressive predators. And they can survive in many different habitats and environments. Very low salinities, so the level of salt in the water, upwards to very high salinities, so somewhere that has a very high level of salt in the water. They can also survive really negative water quality parameters, like areas that have high levels of pollution. And you can find them in seagrass beds, in areas that have good mangrove cover, like nurseries for different fishes, and you can find them in the open ocean and even up to greater depths and deeper parts of the ocean. So yeah, they are incredibly beautiful, and that's how they actually got introduced into our area, because they were a very popular species in the aquarium trade. And there's a lot of different rumors about how these guys got introduced, either a hurricane destroying an aquarium, or people just releasing them after they got too big or they couldn't take care of them anymore and their aquariums at their houses. And so people would just release them into the environment. And they are highly, highly fecund, meaning that they're really great at reproducing. They'll produce over 1 million eggs, and they'll do it several times. And so they're really great at surviving and reproducing and becoming established in different environments. So we have this display here just to educate people about invasive species that you might find in the Indian River Lagoon. And I believe Frank was actually even brought to us by divers or snorkelers in the seagrass bed area in the Indian River. So yeah, so these are our guys. They're pretty cool to check out at the Lagoon House. So we always love to show them off whenever we have visitors and we don't have the COVID-19 restrictions. So once our social distancing is lifted, we encourage people to come by to the Lagoon House and check out our awesome yet dangerous lionfish. So.
Yeah.
So some of our other displays over here. We do have our yellow belly sliders that are hanging out here. You want to talk about rainbow next? Okay. All right. So, hi everyone. Just a reminder, my name is Nicole Broquet, and I'm at the Ted Moorhead Lagoon House located in Palm Bay, and I'm the Environmental Education Coordinator with the MRC. And one of our great restoration and education projects kind of blend two of our tiers together are our rain barrels. These are 55-gallon food-grade drums. They've had things in them like soybean oil and aloe verde oil, but never any chemicals or anything bad, so that's why they're great vectors for collecting rainwater. So we take these 55-gallon drums, and we cut the tops off of them, and we provide people with mosquito netting, a repurposed bicycle tire, and a spigot. And so people can either create their own rain barrels, or we can sell them to them as ready-made rain barrels, and they're fantastic. They can capture a ridiculous amount of water. Before I started working here, I kind of thought that rain barrels were a myth and that they didn't actually work. And I was absolutely shocked at how great they are at collecting rainwater. In the month of April, where we get about 2.1 inches of rain in Brevard County, in a 40 by 80 foot roof, we can actually fill up 76 of these 55-gallon rain barrels. That's a ton of water. And rain barrels help out the Indian River Lagoon by preventing excess runoff, reducing some of the excess runoff that can go into the lagoon that can capture pollutants. You can use the rainwater that you collect for a lot of different things. You can use it for watering your garden, your ornamentals, as well as your vegetables and herb gardens. We just recommend that if you are using it for a vegetable garden, to make sure that you're using the water on the soil and not directly on the plant, and that you water them during the early morning or daytime, so that if there are any chemicals that the rainwater might have captured from your roof or just in the sky in general, the sun will be able to kind of break down any kind of chemicals that might be in it. You can also use it for watering your grass, and you can use it. It's great for if you have a dog and you want to do a dog pool or anything like that. Those are also fantastic. So these are our rain barrels. You can purchase them online, or you can email us, and we would be more than happy to set you up with the rain barrel. So
How much are the rain barrels?
The rain barrels are $55, and if you are a City of Melbourne resident on Melbourne Water, there is a $50 rebate. There's also a rebate for the City of Cocoa, and their rebate's a little bit different. I believe it's up to $100 off of your water bill if you have 2 rain barrels. Melbourne is only a $50 rebate for 1 rain barrel. I always recommend checking it out online just in case if anything has been updated. You can find that by going to City of Melbourne Water and by checking out Cocoa Water or Rain Barrel Rebate Program. Those will be the best way if you just Google that stuff. So
Awesome. What's going on with these fancy rain barrels behind you?
These are some absolutely gorgeous rain barrels that local artists have painted for us. This one is a beautiful Alice in Wonderland scenery. We have our White Rabbit, we've got the Mad Hatter, we have some flamingos, and of course the Cheshire Cat. And so this is a really beautiful painting, lots of detail in it. And so it's fun because you could, even though it's still utilitarian because you're still collecting water, it's beautiful as well. So this one's awesome.
Yay. So our artists are some of our best supporters. And if you would like to paint a rain barrel for us, please comment. We're always looking for new artists to paint rain barrels. And we auction them off at our events and our online auctions. And, these are just fantastic and beautiful. So thank you to all of our artists that have painted rain barrels and flamingos and donated to us. It's really awesome. These barrels, these are priceless. I mean, check this out.
Right? It is beautiful. The Cheshire Cat.
Perfect. And so if you need a rain barrel, you just have to go to savetheirl.org, and under the resources, you can find the gift shop, and they are available online, or just comment, leave us a message, and we can schedule a pickup. And so what's next? What else do we have?
Now we'll talk about our yellow belly sliders over here. So these are our yellow belly sliders, and we have a male and a female in here. We have the male right here, and you can tell he's the male because he has those really, really long claws. And you can also tell because he's got the longer, thicker tail. And he uses those claws to start the mating dance with the female by sticking them right into her face and then clicking his nails together. And you can hear the clicks even when you're a few feet away from the tank. And then the female, you can tell that she's the female because she doesn't have the longer claws, and she's down at the bottom checking things out. And she's a bit of a glutton. You know, she'll definitely be more aggressive trying to get the food, whereas the male is always trying to just get her to mate with him. She's not very interested in it. But yeah, you can actually find yellow belly sliders in Florida. They are not invasive, but the red-eared sliders are invasive, and those have been brought into Florida by pet owners that didn't want their pets anymore and then released them into the environment. So it's always important, if you do not want your pet anymore, to contact local pet shops, or maybe finding like a neighbor or a friend who has always wanted a pet and just hasn't ever had one before. But they are definitely a really big hit at the MRC Lagoon House, and people and kids always love checking them out and seeing what they're doing. We also have some guppies in there that are hanging out too. They swim around, keep the turtles company, provide a little entertainment for them.
And they like the camera.
Yeah, they think you're going to feed them. They're opportunistic animals, meaning that if they think that they're going to get fed, they'll typically get very excited and start following you around. And that doesn't mean that they're constantly always hungry all the time. It's just that they are interested in trying to find something to eat because they don't know when the next meal might come. But here they get fed regularly. And we feed them different things like mustard greens. We fed them dandelion greens. They have escala right now, I believe. And then it's supplemented with like a protein meal that they also get. So we try to mix it up and provide them with like a healthy diet. Oh yeah, those are the yellow belly sliders.
All right, what's next?
We have the lagoon tank over here. So this is our mini lagoon tank right here. It has a lot of different animals in it that are kind of hiding, but the ones that you see that are most prevalent are the hermit crabs. And these are thin-banded hermit crabs, and they are kind of like scavengers, and they're also omnivores because they'll eat basically anything that they can find. They'll eat detritus, which is like decomposing organic material, like maybe like decaying seagrass matter, maybe a fish that didn't quite make it all the way or got preyed on by an osprey or a bigger fish. But then they'll also kind of like go around and eat different kinds of algae. They might be able, if they're lucky, maybe they'll be able to like fight a crab or another hermit crab, and maybe they will eat that as well. And they are an animal that adopts their shell, so they don't make the shell that they are wearing. And they have an exoskeleton, meaning that they have a skeleton on the outside and that they shed it every time that they grow. And when they have shedded their skeleton before it has hardened, they are in a lot of danger because they're so soft still. And so it's a very scary time for them. And this guy right here is checking out the shell to see if he wants to move. So these guys are great to introduce people to some of the animals in the lagoon. And hopefully in the next month they'll move into a bigger tank. So that would be really exciting. So, we also have a few whelks in here, or excuse me, crown conchs.
We got a fishy swimming behind the rocks. What is that? What kind of fishy?
He has always just lived in here. I am not actually sure what kind of fish he is.
A little mullet?
No, I think he would get bigger if it was a mullet. So he just kind of hangs out. But yeah, these are hermit crabs, and yeah, they're pretty cool. And these guys get fed silver sides, which are small little almost like minnows. And they get fed those guys, and they really, really like them. And they'll get fed tomorrow morning. And then this one right here, this is actually the crown conch. This is part of him. He's hidden in the sand a little bit. And so he actually makes his shell by pulling out the calcium carbonate in the water, unlike the hermit crabs who adopt their shells. And you can tell he's a crown conch because the spikes on the edges of his shell kind of look like a crown.
All right, crabbies. Are you ready for some muck?
Sure.
Okay. Nicole loves muck.
This muck jar is probably my most prized possession here at the MRC. And the reason why is because it's super, super cool to show people when I go to presentation. I do a lot of presentations at school. And this really drives home the point of how intense the muck issue is. So this jar has been sitting still for the most part for several days. And you can see that this entire chunk, that's all the muck. And then this right here is the water. And this jar was given to me by a fantastic volunteer, Bo Platt. And he made this awesome sign, genuine IRL muck. And you can see we have the skulls and crossbones for intensity level. But if you can see that it's super, super fine, just stirring it, rotating it a little bit causes the muck to be suspended in the water column. You can see it kind of like trendling up. And so remember that this is a closed system that really hasn't moved for probably 2 weeks. So this is definitely different than it is on the lagoon. So if you watch what happens, let's say that we have a windy day, you can really start to see that the muck has expanded and that it's starting to go up into the water column. And so this is starting to block out light so that the light cannot penetrate all the way to the bottom and that the seagrass might have a hard time photosynthesizing. But imagine if we had a lot of stormy events or if we had like a hurricane or something. You can see how it's still kind of clear up here, even though it's kind of been resuspended right there. But now you can see how much darker the water got just from tipping it just enough. And so you can see that the entire thing is now black. You can't see through it at all. And so that just shows how fine the muck is and how it creates such an issue in the lagoon. It also traps a lot of the pollutants that come out of stormwater, like nitrogen and phosphorus, which are known as limiting nutrients in a natural marine environment. And so when a big event, like a big stormwater event, sends all that excess nutrients into the lagoon, it can cause algae blooms, which can result in fish kills, either due to the type of algae, such as like a brown algae that will produce kind of like a mucus that will clog fish gills and invertebrate gills, like shrimp and clams, that kind of thing. Or you can even have a toxic algae bloom, where they're releasing different kinds of toxins into the water and resulting in harm that way. Yeah. Anything else?
Oh, you tell us. We like your Mangroves Matter shirt.
Thanks.
How do we get one of those?
You can get one of these Mangrove Matters t-shirts online by going to our resources page and checking out our gift shop. I love these Mangrove Matters shirts. I have at least 2. I like them because they're great to wear out, like if you're doing yard work, or if you just have a day where you're walking on the beach. I even actually sometimes use them for exercising because they're this really great dry fit material. And so it's always really breathable and it dries really quickly. And it's got a sweet pattern on it. So highly recommend Mangrove Matters t-shirts. And you can support the MRC.
Oh, awesome. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your virtual learning?
Sure. So we have just launched our virtual learning programs. They are based off of our in-classroom presentations, and it was really challenging during this COVID-19 situation because we had to turn our very hands-on programs into a virtual platform. So that was pretty difficult because we always pride ourselves on having activities that really get the kids moving and get them involved. And so we had to kind of make things, we had to adjust and adapt to the situation, just like how many of us are, especially all the parents who are now teachers and all the kids that have to adapt to a new learning environment. So we have 4 programs. We have Introduction to the Indian River Lagoon and Stormwater. We have one that talks about food chains and food webs. Another one, mangrove restoration, and our last one, how to help the Indian River Lagoon. And each one of our 4 programs come with either a worksheet and an additional activity like a word find or a coloring sheet. And then our last program comes with like a suggestion for a future project for the students to do, like making a mangrove restoration brochure or doing kind of like an animal report that's paired with an art project. And you can learn more about the programs and register for them through our website, savetheirl.org. If you go to the Education tab, it will say Virtual Learning Programs. Just click on that, and please fill out the registration form. We have to have people register for the programs so that we can accurately track who's using them, how many students, what schools, so that we can get credit towards our grants and have funding for future education programs. So that's why we're really asking people to please register for the programs, and they're really fun. So check them out at savetheirl.org and go to the Education tab and the virtual learning programs.
Yay! Well, thank you, Miss Nicole, for taking this time to educate us on some of the outreach exhibits and programs here available at the Marine Resources Council's Ted Moorhead Lagoon House. How many mangroves did you plant today?
At least 15. The boot slowed me down.
Oh, yeah. So what else are you excited about for the coming year with MRC?
I am super excited to redo the aquariums and really start working on outreach signs and educational signs throughout the Lagoon House and on our boardwalk. I have a fantastic intern that's working with me this year that is helping me design outdoor boardwalk signs. One of them will be focusing on the A's, Native Americans, as well as the general information about the Indian River Lagoon, and kind of like an I Spy, so that people are looking for certain things in the environment to kind of interact with it a little bit more. And then in the Lagoon House, we will be expanding our lagoon tank, and it's going to kind of look more like a living shoreline with like mangroves on one side, going down a little bit of a slope, and kind of having the animals that pair with it. So we're still going to have our hermit crabs, our crown conchs. Ideally, we'll have oysters, but we'll see what happens. Big dreams and all that. And hopefully we'll get to redo our mop table. So these are all the exciting things I'm hoping for.
Yay, awesome.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part of Earth Day?
My favorite part of Earth Day was getting to go outside and planting mangroves and just getting to enjoy nature for a little bit, especially because we're kind of stuck in our houses a little bit more than we'd like. So.
Yay, mangroves. We love mangroves. So thank you to everybody tuning in today. We will be broadcasting more and more online and through Facebook and our other digital outlets. So please stay tuned. And if you have any questions, please post them in the comments and we will answer them. And happy Earth Day, everybody.